Gaming is big, so big in fact that every single day it is impossible to not see anything stupid within the community. And you know, when it is a petty argument like, oh, your favorite game sucks or stuff like that, it is like, yeah, okay, whatever. But every now and then you get to see people unifying under the same banner. Oh, just to defend the most dumbest cause you can think of. For the longest time, gaming has been the center of many controversies, from extreme religious preachers calling your favorite game satanic, to politicians blaming every tragedy to violent games, even groups like PETA making their own flash games on why Mario and Pokemon support animal abuse. Gee, thanks PETA, you sure want to teach us these important lessons. I'm sure there's plenty more examples, but the thing is, these controversies, while very stupid, were instigated by people who clearly know nothing about gaming. They saw an opportunity to promote their agenda and they took advantage of it. What I want to explore in this video are controversies that happen within the gaming community and were caused by gamers themselves. But above all, these controversies have to be incredibly stupid. Those that you look at and make you think, why? Why are people getting so riled up about this? I mean, don't you have anything better to do with your life? If all is clear, then let's begin with a controversy that is actually very personal to me. The Super Mario Odyssey Sombrero Mario controversy. For those who are new to this channel, I'll let you in on a little secret. I'm Mexican. Shocking, I know. And because of that, I genuinely love it when my country and my people are represented in cool and funny ways in video games. I've actually made 2 videos about that. Even something as simple as seeing a character dress up like a mariachi is enough to make me say... sexo. When Mario Odyssey was announced, it was cool seeing all the new stuff in there, the new worlds, gimmicks and gameplay elements, but one of the biggest highlights for me was of course an entire world clearly based on Mexican culture, as well as the option to give Mario a sombrero and a poncho. How could I not be happy with that? Well, there was a group of people that, according to them, I should be mad at this. A group of people well known as Twitter users. Yeah, it didn't take too long for some of them to go online and start claiming that Mexican Mario was offensive to Mexicans when like... No? What the hell are you talking about? We love stuff like this! This wasn't a cheap attempt at making us buy the new Mario game. The Mexican representation here was clearly made with a lot of love and respect for the culture. Even the director himself admitted that he created Tostarena Town because he loved Mexico a lot when he traveled there, as the culture left a strong impression on him. And the results show. The Sand Kingdom is a great level, and that's surprising. I usually tend to dislike desert areas in video games, so if you make me genuinely enjoy an entire world of that speaks lengths of its quality. In the end, the Mexican Mario controversy turned against everyone who claimed it was offensive. Although, I do wonder if it actually achieved something. In the pre-release cover, you can clearly see Mexican Mario was gonna be there, but in the end he was replaced with just Mario swimming. It's hard to tell if this had something to do with the controversy or was just a marketing decision. Still, the point is, it genuinely pisses me off when someone gets offended on someone else's behalf. Like, who are you to speak for me? Someone born and raised in Mexico. Please, change and grow as a person. The Stellar Blade controversy. Censorship is nothing new to gaming. For the longest time, many games have had to be changed in different regions, either due to handling sensitive topics, depictions of violence, sexual content, or to appeal to the rating system in each different country. Whether censorship is good or bad, I'll leave that to your own personal opinion, but the point is, this always becomes the center of attention whenever a game gets something changed, especially to this day. But I don't think I've ever seen a controversy as embarrassing as the one behind Stellar Blade. So, what is Stellar Blade? Well, it is known as the PlayStation 5's one game, I don't know why, at least at the time of this video. The game gathered a lot of attention due to the main character Eve having a very revealing outfit, even more than 2B from Nier Automata. This naturally became the center of attention for many people, from game journalists to porn addicts, as they will only talk about Eve's sexy design. And by only, I mean only talk about that. Honestly, I don't know what Stellar Blade is about. Every single footage I've seen of this game is just Eve walking slowly or climbing stairs with the camera focusing on her ass. Oh, and by picking up cans of soda, that's actually kinda cute. I mean, I guess the game is probably good, I like character action games, so I bet Stellar Blade is a fun time. Maybe. The porn addicts especially were having a field day with Stellar Blade, as they finally got a game in 2024 with sexy designs, free of influence from the filthy westerners and snowflakes and social justice warriors, the embodiment of non-woke game design. You know who I'm talking about. The West has fallen kind of people. They treated Stellar Blade as the second coming of Christ. But come April 26, 2024, and many diehard fans suddenly turn against the game. But why? What happened? Stellar Blade got a day one patch that did 3 noticeable changes. It toned down the violence, it moved a poorly placed graffiti, and it censored some of Eve's outfits. Oh, that's horrible! Unforgivable! What sort of evil did the woke agenda put on this masterpiece of a game? Yep. This was enough to get tons of Stellar Blade fans molding, feeling betrayed after everything they did to support the game. Some fans went through some crazy loopholes just to not update their game, while others went as far as to start petitions with thousands of signatures to ask developers shift up to bring back the original outfits. And you know what the craziest part is? All of this outrage actually worked, yeah! They brought back the censor outfits in a different update. The porn addicts won! Or who knows? There's plenty of arguments that can be made about this. You can bring up that according to the director, this was always the intention for the final release. You can say that Sony forced them to censor the game but they fought back. Or make mention that this was nothing more than an extremely elaborate marketing campaign to bring even more attention to the game. But in the end, I think that everyone deeply involved into this has way too much free time on their hands. Unicorn Overlord localization controversy. You know, every single time a Japanese game leaves its country, there will always gonna be that smartass who will compare every single line of dialogue to the original Japanese script. And to be fair, this isn't inherently bad. I think it's interesting to see how the localization managed to adapt an entire game to a different audience. I am a big fan of this stuff. Normally, if a game gives me the option, I love to play them with a Latin American dub while the entire text remains in English. It's pretty fun to see the differences and learn from them. But of course, localization always comes with pros and cons. We've had plenty of examples in which the localizations try to butcher genuinely good stuff. Some examples that are just direct translations without anything too special, but we also had times in which the localization is very different from the original script and is still beloved by many. This is a topic that could make an entire video on its own, so if you're interested to learn more about that, let me know and I might consider doing it. However, there are some people out there that no matter what happens, they will always have to complain about a localization. It's impossible to please them. You know how we call this in Spanish? Un chile les embona. It doesn't matter how good the translation may be. One change is enough to tweak them off, and because of that, we've had some funny but also questionable controversies. Like in Fire Emblem Engage, there's plenty to say about this game's localization and how they ruined some supports. But you know which change got the most attention out of them all? The fact that they changed Sana's ring support where she becomes your business partner instead of your lover. Ha 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 ha. Anna is a minor in this game. There's many more examples I can bring up, but right now I want to focus on one game. Unicorn Overlord. When this game was announced, it all went as you expected. There was some hype behind it, a decent amount of information, some people thirsting for some of the designs, you know, the usual. Some time before its release, however, Vanillaware, the game's developers, released a demo so people hyped for the game could try it out. However, it backfired in some ways, as it didn't take long for localization haters to raise their pitchforks to complain about a good translation? No, I'm serious. I've seen plenty of images exposing the differences between the Japanese and the English scripts. I beat this game 2 times already and I still don't get it. I can't tell what the issue is, like, the script was really good to me and I don't think any of the comparisons look bad at all. But okay, say I go to Reddit or Twitter to find what is the problem. All I see is people talk about, oh, Sega ruined yet another localization. Damn it, another game was taken by the Westerners. Just cancel my pre-order, when will they learn? What are these people so mad about? The only lead I got was some guy saying the script was being too pretentious or something like that, but like, are you all forgetting Unicorn Overlord is a fantasy RPG set in medieval times? I think the use of old and fancier English was very appropriate, and it doesn't seem like anything was massively changed from the writing's original intent. At no point did I ever feel the English localization was pretending to be better than the Japanese one. The script delivers the main idea, adds personality to the characters, and it's easier for English speakers to understand. There's serious moments, funny moments, moments of respite, hell, they even explicitly left the incest romance intact! The one thing you'll expect them to change is still there! Is it really that bad that this character says, "My steed is swifter than the wind" instead of "My horse is fast"? Who complains about stuff like this? I'll let you know who. People who only know one language. It is always them who are suddenly experts when it comes to Japanese localizations. In their own words, "I don't want a localization, I want a translation!" They'll say stuff like this while completely ignoring how languages work. You just can't translate a phrase word by word and expect it to make sense. You need to take context and cultural differences into consideration when you bring something overseas. These are the same people who will unironically say, "just according to Keikaku" in a real conversation. And again, I'm not pretending all localizations are good, because no. But complaining about Unicorn Overlord because it's quote-unquote disrespecting the Japanese script by inflating itself? Man, some of you really have problems. Anyway, the point of all of this is that you should ignore people like this and play Unicorn Overlord. It's a fantastic strategy RPG that any fan of the genre is bound to fall in love with. Incredible game! It has my seal of approval. X character is trans controversies. I don't think I need to explain any of this to you. No matter the context, if a character is implied to be LGBTQ, someone will argue against it. If a character is confirmed to be LGBTQ, someone will do the most ridiculous mental gymnastics to justify the character not being LGBTQ. And if all that fails, they'll hate the character just because! LGBTQ characters have always existed in video games, but when they're brought to the spotlight, then you better get ready to witness some of the most vile, rotten, but also stupidest things said by the worst people you have met in your life. And I can't bring up more perfect examples than Madeline from Celeste, Bridget from Guilty Gear, and Vivian from Paper Mario. All of them confirmed to be trans women, but all of them got hate from the gaming community just for existing. Shall we quickly look at them? Madeline's controversy is tied to people who say stuff like, "Oh, I hate when gender people rub their gender in our faces." Well, in Celeste, Madeline's identity as a trans woman is never explicitly stated. It can be implied, but it's never outright said to you. It's not until you finish the DLC that you get this image that contains a very tiny flag that confirms that indeed, Madeline is a trans woman. And of course, this got some people hating on the game all of a sudden. Even if Madeline's identity is never shown in our faces, one flag is all these people needed to hate on such a great character from a fantastic video game. Bridget Guilty Gear, also known as Brisket. Same thing once again. When Bridget was confirmed to be a trans woman, all I saw were transphobes trying so hard to argue otherwise, claiming that this was fanboy erasure, that people misunderstand her backstory, or that Gold Lewis convinced her of that. And look, you can say whatever you want to justify being a horrible person. I'm not the biggest Guilty Gear expert out there, but all I know is one thing. The creator of Guilty Gear, Daisuke Shiwatari himself, said that Bridget, since her inception, was always supposed to come out as a trans woman. Even then, transphobes still try to argue against the creator himself. Is anyone surprised about it? I don't think so. And finally we have Vivian from Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. A character that for the longest time has always been heavily implied to be trans in all versions of the game, except in two versions. The English and German localizations. They were the only ones that removed any implication of Vivian being a trans woman. And you know, even with that knowledge, many people were fine with that. But now that The Thousand-Year Door got a remake, it put the game on the spotlight once again. The English version of the remake finally took a step in the right direction, and changed the dialogue to be more like the other versions and reconfirmed to English audiences that Vivian is indeed a trans woman. Can you guess where this is going? Pronoun Mario, the 1000-year woke! Wow, the woke crowd got their fangs on the game? No, you don't get it! In the Japanese version, other characters refer to Vivian as a man even if she refers to herself as a woman! Yeah, did you know that's what transphobia means? This even goes back to the localization controversies. These people will always talk about respecting the author's original intent, but the exact moment where that happens and it's related to something they don't like, then that logic goes straight out of the window. Guys, people existing is not a controversy, but you sure as hell love making it one for no reason at all. And you know what the most ridiculous part is? Throughout my life, I met many people who love feminine men, and sorry if this sounds a bit offensive, but they'll always say stuff like, a trap. The dick only makes it better. But the instant the character is confirmed to be trans, they turn their entire mentality around and say shit like, oh, I don't know, man, it's just, they ruined this character for me, man, like, I don't know how to go on, man. I'll just keep calling them a trap. Like, do you want the femininity or not? I know transphobes aren't exactly smart, but like, do you even hear yourself, man? Please, change and grow as a person. And to finish off this video, we have a controversy that I thought I had erased from my mind. One so old that when a friend of mine suggested that I put it on this video, I couldn't help but flinch in pain. Gamergate. For those who luckily live under a rock back in the 2010s, Gamergate was one of the most heated movements in the gaming industry during that era. It was a time in which you couldn't go a single day without seeing so much hatred and spite from pretty much everyone involved. A movement so wild, so unfocused, and so dumb that, I'm not kidding you, more than 10 years later, I still don't know what this was about or if it even achieved something. Like, I knew it had something to do with feminism, game journalism, tons of harassment, and yeah, that's it. Even as a 16-year-old who will often get into online arguments and gatekeep, I genuinely had no idea what was going on. At most I could tell you, Anita Sarkeesian is bad, but yeah, that's it. I couldn't even pick a side to fit in, simply because I didn't know what the entire point of it was. And do you think I'm gonna waste 6 hours just to find out? No, I have better things to do with my life. There's only one thing I can take from this entire thing. From a personal experience, Gamergate basically became the catalyst that opened the floodgates for even more stupid controversies and annoying buzzwords. Ever since this whole thing happened, I noticed an outbreak of more and more people using words like snowflakes, political correctness, social justice warriors, words that have evolved nowadays into the term woke. And this is all tied with most of the controversies I've talked about. Stellar Blade is a great game? I don't know, maybe. All that matters is that it's not woke. Unicorn Overlord has a good localization? Sorry. In the eyes of anime profile pictures, this game was touched by the woke translators. The character is LGBTQ? I think you get the point now. One thing I've noticed in recent times is that people are somewhat trying to resurrect Gamergate, and it is all tied to this company called Sweet Baby Inc. Once again, I have no idea what they do and if they have an actual saying in game development. All I've seen is that as soon as there's someone involved with any game, said game will get blacklisted by thousands of gamers, and all I can think is this really worth it? Like, battling against quote-unquote wokeness? I don't know, man. I think that if you're gonna put this much effort on something, at least make it something worth fighting against, like genre oversaturation, predatory practices, microtransactions, incomplete games releasing at full price, crunch culture, attempts at monopolization, Blizzard still being alive. Trust me, dude. Nobody's gonna take you seriously just because you can't jack off to Mary Jane in Spider-Man 2. There's actually issues out there that need to be addressed first. With this video, I am not trying to say that all controversies are inherently stupid, because no, they can be used to let companies know when we disagree with their horrible decisions. But some of the examples that I just talked about are the embodiment that some people have some very messed up priorities, like, oh my god, are you mad that the new Assassin's Creed game has a black man as a protagonist in Japan? Man, I am more concerned that Ubisoft is trying to sell their garbage for $130. Actually, scratch that. I I am more concerned that Ubisoft is still making games. But no! Wokeness is clearly the issue here. Don't you guys have like jobs, hobbies, or maybe a friend? Look, I am nobody to judge someone else's life decisions, but why put so much time and energy to something so insignificant? Especially when there's other pressing matters that require much more attention. Is this really the hill you wanna die on? I mean, if so, then perish, I guess. But okay, if you think that's going too far, there's something even better that you can do. Change and grow as a person.